Ladies and gentlemen, you see, life will hit you hard. You'll face moments when you feel broken, lost, and alone. Pain isn't a stranger. But remember this, God always has a purpose in every pain. Pain is part of the process, and through that struggle, we are shaped, molded, and refined. Now, I'm not saying it's easy. It never is. When life knocks you down, it's not just about getting back up. It's about getting back up with a deeper understanding, a stronger spirit, and a heart that refuses to be defeated. Life will test you. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. You can have the best intentions. You can plan everything out perfectly. But sooner or later, the storms will come. Struggles, challenges, setbacks, they're part of the deal. No one is immune to them. Life doesn't ask if you're ready for the pain. It doesn't politely knock on your door and give you a heads up before it shakes your world. No, it shows up unexpectedly and leaves you with choices. Either you let it break you or you let it build you. The thing is, we often ask, why me, when we're faced with difficulties? It's human nature to question, to feel as though we've been singled out. But the truth is, nobody gets a free pass. Not the strongest person, not the wealthiest, not even the most spiritual. Struggle is universal. What separates us is not whether we go through hardship. It's how we respond to it. There will be days when you feel like the weight of the world is on your shoulders, like you can't take another step. And in those moments, you'll be tempted to think life's unfair. But fairness doesn't mean avoiding pain. Fairness doesn't mean everything goes smoothly. Fairness means every one of us will experience moments of trial, because that's how life works. These struggles aren't here to stop you, they're here to strengthen you. There's no growth without challenge, no victory without a battle. You can't become who you're meant to be without facing some level of hardship. It's in the struggle that you discover your resilience. It's in the tough times that you learn to dig deeper, to find strength you didn't know you had. Life's challenges, as painful as they are, bring clarity. They force you to reevaluate what matters, to strip away the unnecessary, and to focus on what's truly important. Struggles make you pause, make you pause, make you pause, make you look within. And sometimes they redirect you toward the path you were always meant to walk. So when struggle knocks on your door, understand this, it's not there to destroy you. It's not there to leave you defeated. It's there to build you up, to show you who you really are, and to prepare you for the greatness that's ahead. When you're in the middle of pain, it can feel like the whole world has collapsed around you. You ask, why is this happening to me? The weight of the situation clouds your vision, and it's hard to see past the hurt, past the confusion. But here's the thing, God doesn't allow pain in your life without a reason. There's always a purpose, even if we don't see it right away. Every struggle, every heartache, every tear you shed is part of a greater plan that we can't fully grasp in the moment. God isn't sitting on the sidelines watching you go through pain for no reason. He's actively working in the background, even when it feels like you're walking through darkness. Sometimes the pain we endure is the very thing that leads us to a deeper connection with Him. It's in those moments of brokenness that we often lean in closer to God, searching for answers, searching for peace. And while the pain is real, so is God's purpose for it. You see, God uses pain to shape us in ways that joy cannot. When everything is easy, we get comfortable, we stop growing. But when we face difficulties, when we're forced to deal with pain, that's when we start asking the hard questions. That's when we start digging deep into our faith. Pain forces you to look at yourself, to look at your life, and to look at God in ways you wouldn't if everything was perfect. God often allows pain to prepare us for something greater. Sometimes He needs to break us down so that He can build us up into who we're meant to be. Like a potter shaping clay, the process isn't gentle, but the end result is beautiful. What feels like destruction in the moment is really God molding us, refining us for the purpose He has in store. Without that pressure, without that struggle, we wouldn't be ready for the blessings that are ahead. And then there's this, sometimes your pain isn't even about you. Sometimes God allows you to go through something so that you can help someone else later on. Your testimony of how you made it through might be the very thing that gives someone else hope in their darkest hour. God works through people, and he often uses our pain as a way to connect us, to remind us that we're not alone in our struggles. Even when it doesn't make sense, even when you can't see the reason for the pain, you have to trust that God knows what he's doing. His perspective is higher than ours. What we see as a setback, he sees as a setup for something better. What we think is a loss, he uses as a lesson. Every season of pain serves a purpose, whether it's to grow your faith, to refine your character, or to prepare you for a future you can't yet imagine. Pain is never wasted in God's hands. He doesn't make mistakes. Every challenge, every hardship is part of a divine plan that's leading you to something greater. It may not be clear in the moment, but trust that one day you'll look back and understand why you had to go through what you did. And in that moment, you'll see God's purpose behind every pain. Faith is not about having all the answers. It's not about being able to see the full picture or knowing exactly where you're going. Faith is trusting in the process, even when you can't see the outcome. It's believing that every step you take is part of something bigger, even when it feels like you're walking blindly through the fog. Faith is knowing that there is a plan in place, even when life feels chaotic and uncertain. There are times in life when everything feels out of control, when it seems like nothing is going according to plan. You're trying to move forward, but every door feels like it's being slammed in your face. That's when faith steps in. Faith is about trusting that despite the setbacks, despite the delays, God is still working. The process may not be what you expected, but faith allows you to keep moving forward, believing that the end will be worth it. Faith teaches us patience. It's easy to trust when everything is going smoothly, but the real test comes when things don't happen on our timeline. We live in a world that's obsessed with instant results, where waiting feels unbearable. But God doesn't work on our schedule. He's not in a rush. Sometimes he delays things because he knows we're not ready yet. Sometimes he makes us wait because there's something we need to learn in the process, something that will prepare us for what's ahead. Faith is about trusting that the timing is perfect, even when we can't see it. And faith doesn't mean the absence of fear or doubt. It's normal to have moments where you question, where you wonder if things will ever get better. But faith is what pushes you through those doubts. It's what reminds you that God's promises still stand, even when the road is rough. Faith is choosing to believe, even when your circumstances seem to contradict everything you're hoping for. The process is where growth happens. Faith understands that the journey is just as important as the destination. In the waiting, in the struggle, you're being shaped and refined. You're developing strength, endurance, and wisdom that you wouldn't have gained if everything had come easily. Faith is trusting that each challenge, each setback is preparing you for what's to come. It's like planting a seed. When you plant it, you can't see what's happening underground. All you know is that you've done your part, you've watered it, you've given it sunlight, and now you have to wait. You have to trust that growth is happening even when you can't see it. That's faith. You may not see the results right away, but you trust that the seed will grow in its time. Faith is what allows you to surrender control. It's saying, I don't know what's coming, but I trust that it's in God's hands. It's releasing the need to figure everything out on your own and resting in the assurance that God's plan is better than anything you could come up with. When you have faith in the process, you don't have to have all the answers. You just have to keep going, trusting that each step is leading you closer to the purpose and promise God has for your life. When you trust in the process, you're not shaken by the obstacles that come your way. You understand that they're not there to stop you, but to strengthen you. Faith is what gives you the resilience to keep going when you feel like giving up, to keep believing when everything around you seems to say otherwise. You trust that God is doing something in your life, even if you can't see the full picture yet. Faith in the process is about letting go of the need to control every detail and trusting that God is orchestrating everything for your good. It's about believing that the pieces will come together in His time and His way. It's not always easy. And there will be moments when you question it, but faith is what gives you the strength to keep pressing forward, knowing that every step is leading you closer to the fulfillment of God's plan. Pressure is something we all face at some point. It's that force that feels like it's squeezing you, pushing you beyond your limits. But here's the thing, nothing truly valuable comes without some kind of pressure. Diamonds, one of the most precious stones on earth, are created under intense pressure. Gold, something we prize for its purity, is refined through fire. That same principle applies to us. The pressure, the heat, the struggles we face, they are the very tools that God uses to refine us, to shape us into who we are meant to be. When life presses down on you, when it feels like everything is closing in, it's tempting to think that you're being punished or that something is going wrong. But in reality, it's in those moments of pressure that your true character is revealed. Pressure exposes weaknesses, yes, but it also reveals strength. You don't know what you're truly capable of until you're put in a situation that forces you to dig deeper than you ever have before. God allows pressure in our lives because he knows what we're capable of, even when we don't. He's not trying to break us, he's trying to build us. Just like a sculptor chisels away at a block of stone to reveal a masterpiece, God uses pressure to chip away at the things that don't belong, the parts of us that hold us back from becoming all that we're meant to be. Without that pressure, without that refinement, we'd stay the same, never reaching the fullness of our potential. Think about how a piece of gold is refined. It has to be heated up in the fire to the point where all the impurities rise to the surface. Only then can it be skimmed off, leaving behind something pure, something more valuable. That process isn't comfortable, and it's not quick. The gold has to endure the fire for a while before it's fully refined. The same goes for us. The pressures we face are the fires of life, and they bring our weaknesses, our fears, and our doubts to the surface. But it's only by facing those things, by letting them be burned away, that we can emerge stronger, purer, and more resilient. Pressure also teaches us patience and perseverance. When you're in the middle of a difficult season, it's easy to want to escape it, to get out as quickly as possible. But just like the gold needs time in the fire, we need time under pressure to fully develop. If you rush the process, if you try to take shortcuts, you end up missing out on the growth that's meant to happen. The pressure is there for a reason. It's refining you, and that takes time. Pressure pushes you to rely on something greater than yourself. When everything is going well, it's easy to believe that you've got everything under control. But when the heat turns up, when the challenges come, you quickly realize that you can't do it all on your own. That's when you turn to God, when you learn to lean on him more fully. Pressure reminds you that you need him, that his strength is made perfect in your weakness. It's in the moments of greatest pressure that you often experience the deepest spiritual growth, because you're forced to trust God in a way you never had to before. In those times of pressure, it's important to remember that God's not trying to harm you. He's refining you for something greater. Just as a potter molds the clay by applying pressure with his hands, God is shaping you into the person he's called you to be. The process may be uncomfortable. It may even be painful at times, but it's necessary. The pressure you're feeling is not there to crush you. It's there to transform you. Every time you face pressure, you're being given an opportunity to grow, to become more resilient, to become more of the person God designed you to be. The pressure isn't random, it's intentional. It's God's way of preparing you for the next level, for the bigger blessings and responsibilities that are ahead. You can't handle the greatness that's coming if you haven't been refined, if you haven't been strengthened by the trials and challenges you face now. And here's the truth. Once you've been through the pressure, once you've been refined, you come out stronger. You come out with a greater sense of purpose, a clearer vision of who you are, and a deeper connection to God. The pressure may feel overwhelming at times, but it's producing something priceless in you. It's creating a depth of character, a resilience, and a faith that can't be shaken. Pressure is not your enemy. It's your teacher, your guide, and your refiner. It's the process that God uses to bring out the best in you, to remove what doesn't belong, and to strengthen what does. The next time you feel the weight of life pressing down on you, Remember that God is at work, and the pressure you're feeling is shaping you into something greater than you ever thought possible. Growth doesn't happen in comfort. It's the struggle, the uphill battles, and the moments of doubt that truly push us to evolve. We all want to be stronger, wiser, and better prepared for life's challenges, but real growth comes at a cost. It requires going through the fire, facing the adversity, and enduring the pain. Struggle is the soil where the seeds of growth take root. Without it, we'd remain the same, never realizing the full extent of our potential. Think about the caterpillar. Before it can transform into a butterfly, it has to go through the discomfort of the cocoon, tightly bound, struggling for freedom. That struggle is essential to its development. Without the effort it takes to break free from the cocoon, the butterfly's wings wouldn't be strong enough to fly. In the same way, we are strengthened by our struggles. The very challenges we face, the ones that seem to limit us, are often the catalyst for our transformation. Struggle teaches resilience. When you've been knocked down and have had to fight your way back up, you develop a toughness that can't be taught in easier times. Each time you face a setback and push through it, you're building your endurance, sharpening your resolve, and proving to yourself that you can handle more than you ever thought possible. Struggle forces you to dig deep, to tap into strengths you didn't know you had, and to keep moving forward even when it feels like the world is against you. It's in the struggle that you find out what you're truly made of. When everything is going well, it's easy to feel strong and confident, but those feelings are untested. It's only when you're faced with hardship that your true character is revealed. Struggle doesn't just build strength, it reveals the inner strength you've had all along. It exposes weaknesses so you can work on them and makes you aware of the areas in your life that need refining. Without struggle, we wouldn't know where we need to grow. We'd stay stagnant, content with where we are, without realizing how much more we could become. Struggles often force us to rethink our perspectives. When life is easy, we don't spend much time reflecting. But when we're in the middle of a storm, we start asking the hard questions. Why am I here? What's the lesson in this? Struggles have a way of stripping away the superficial, making us reconsider what's really important. They lead to self-awareness and a deeper understanding of what we truly value. The things we thought mattered so much often fade away, and the things that really count come into sharper focus. Struggle clarifies your priorities. When you face struggles, you're also given the chance to develop empathy. There's something about going through hard times that changes the way you see other people. You begin to understand their pain because you've been there. Struggle softens your heart, humbles you, and teaches you to be more compassionate. The strength you gain from your own battles becomes a gift you can share with others. It gives you the ability to help someone else who is going through their own trials because you've walked that path and made it through. Your struggle doesn't just change you, it equips you to be a source of encouragement and strength for others. Struggles often feel like they're slowing us down or holding us back, but in reality, they're accelerating our growth. When you're forced to deal with difficult circumstances, you learn faster, you adapt more quickly, and you become more resourceful. Struggle sharpens your mind and owns your ability to solve problems creatively. Each challenge is like a puzzle that forces you to think outside the box, to push the boundaries of what you believed you were capable of. Moreover, struggle builds faith. When you're in a place where you can't see the way forward and you're forced to rely on something greater than yourself, your faith deepens. You start to trust that even in the darkest moments, there's a plan and there's hope. Struggles remind us that we are not in control of everything, and they often lead us to lean on God more fully. That reliance builds a spiritual resilience, a belief that no matter what comes, you'll find a way through because you're not facing it alone. Growth through struggle isn't just about physical endurance or mental toughness, it's also about emotional maturity. Hardships teach you patience. When things don't go your way, you learn to let go of the need to control every outcome. You start to understand that life has its own timing and not everything can be rushed. Struggle teaches you to appreciate the process and to find strength in the waiting. It shows you that sometimes the greatest growth happens in the stillness, in the moments when all you can do is trust that something good is being formed out of your pain. Ultimately, struggle stretches you beyond the limits you once thought you had. It breaks down the walls of comfort and complacency and forces you to reach higher, dig deeper, and push through barriers that seemed impossible. Struggles give birth to resilience, creativity, and wisdom. It's in the midst of struggle that you transform, becoming the person you were always meant to be, stronger and more capable than you ever realized. Pain is something none of us want to endure, but it's a part of life. It can come in many forms: heartbreak, loss, failure, disappointment, and when it hits, it's hard to see beyond the hurt. But here's the truth: God never wastes pain. Every tear, every sleepless night, every moment of anguish has a purpose in God's hands. He doesn't allow pain without weaving it into his greater plan for your life. What may seem like a senseless trial in the moment is often God's way of shaping you, preparing you, and positioning you for something far beyond your understanding. When we're in pain, we often ask, why me? It's human nature to want to make sense of suffering. But God sees the bigger picture, a picture we can't fully grasp. He knows what's coming. He knows what's needed for us to grow. And he knows how every piece of our life fits together, even the painful ones. Pain in God's plan is never meaningless. It's never wasted. It serves a greater purpose, even if we can't see it right away. Sometimes God uses pain as a way to wake us up. When life is comfortable and everything is going smoothly, we can become complacent. We stop seeking God as fervently because we don't feel the need. But when pain enters our lives, it forces us to turn back to him. It reminds us of our dependence on God. Pain strips away the distractions and makes us focus on what truly matters. It refines our faith because it requires us to trust in God when everything else seems to be falling apart. God also uses pain to grow us in ways we never imagined. It's through pain that we often develop qualities like patience, resilience, and compassion. You don't learn these things when life is easy. You learn them when life is hard, when you're forced to endure, to wait, and to persevere. Pain stretches us beyond our comfort zones and forces us to grow in character. It's not pleasant, but it's necessary. God sees who we are becoming through the struggle, and he uses pain to shape us into that person. There are times when God allows pain in our lives to remove things that aren't good for us. It may feel like something is being ripped away, and we may not understand why. But often, God takes away things that would ultimately harm us or that would prevent us from reaching the destiny he has planned for us. It could be a relationship, a job, or even a dream we've held on to for too long. The removal is painful, but it's also purposeful. God never subtracts without the intention of adding something better. One of the most powerful ways God uses pain is to draw us closer to him. In moments of suffering, we often cry out to God in ways we never do when life is easy. Pain drives us to our knees, seeking his presence and his comfort. And in those moments of vulnerability, we experience God's closeness in a deeper, more intimate way. It's in the valley of pain that we often find the richest experiences of God's love and faithfulness. He doesn't abandon us in our pain. He walks with us through it. Pain is also a tool God uses to prepare us for the future. There are some things we can't handle yet because we haven't been through the refining process. God sees what's ahead, and he knows what we need to be ready for it. The pain we endure now is often preparing us for the blessings and responsibilities that are coming. Without the pain, we wouldn't be equipped to handle the opportunities and challenges that lie ahead. What feels like a setback is often a setup for what's coming next. And then there's this: God uses our pain to help others. Our greatest ministry often comes out of our greatest struggles. When we've been through pain, we have a unique ability to empathize with others who are going through similar trials. God can use the very thing that broke us to bring healing and hope to someone else. Our scars become testimonies of God's faithfulness. And our pain becomes the platform from which we can speak life and encouragement into others who are hurting. Even when we don't understand why we're going through pain, we can trust that God is at work. He is weaving every painful experience into the fabric of our story, and nothing is wasted. The loss, the heartache, the disappointment, it's all part of a larger masterpiece that God is creating in our lives. What looks like a mess to us is actually a work in progress in God's hands. Pain teaches us humility. It reminds us that we are not in control, that we don't have all the answers. It forces us to rely on God in ways we might never have if everything had gone according to our plan. Pain has a way of breaking down our pride, our illusions of control, and opening us up to receive God's grace and strength. It teaches us to lean on Him fully, trusting that He will bring us through, even when we can't see the way forward. God doesn't waste pain because He uses it to strengthen our faith. It's easy to have faith when life is good, but real faith is forged in the fire of adversity. When we trust God in the midst of our pain, our faith grows deeper and more unshakable. We learn to depend on His promises, to cling to His word, and to believe in His goodness even when circumstances don't make sense. This kind of faith is precious, and it only comes through walking through the valley of pain. Ultimately, pain reminds us that this world is not our final home. The struggles and hard taxes we face here are temporary, but they point us to something eternal. God uses pain to draw our hearts toward Him, to remind us of His eternal purpose for our lives, and to deepen our longing for the day when all pain will be wiped away. In the meantime, we can trust that God is using every bit of our pain for His glory and our good. He is the master at taking brokenness and turning it into something beautiful. Facing pain head on is one of the hardest things we're ever called to do. It's natural to want to avoid pain, to run from it, to distract ourselves or numb it away. But here's the truth: avoiding pain doesn't make it go away, it only makes it linger. Pain, when ignored, festers. It doesn't heal, it becomes a wound that never fully closes. But when you face pain directly, when you allow yourself to feel it and work through it, that's when true healing begins. The path to growth and recovery isn't found in avoidance, it's found in courageously confronting the hurt. We live in a world that offers countless ways to avoid pain, from distractions like entertainment and social media to more harmful outlets like substance abuse or unhealthy relationships. There are endless options to escape from the uncomfortable reality of our emotions. But no matter how far you run, pain has a way of catching up with you. You can't outrun it forever. The longer you avoid facing it, the more power it has over you. It's only by turning around and meeting it face to face that you can begin to take back control of your life. Facing pain is about honesty. It's about being real with yourself and acknowledging that you're hurt, that you're struggling, that you don't have it all together. It requires vulnerability, and that can be frightening. We don't like admitting we're in pain because it makes us feel weak, exposed, but there's a strength in that kind of honesty. When you confront your pain, you're taking the first step toward healing. You're saying, I see this, I feel this, and I'm ready to deal with it. Part of facing pain is accepting that it's a part of life. No one escapes it. Whether it's the loss of a loved one, a broken relationship, a dream that didn't come true, or an unexpected setback, pain is inevitable. Trying to live life avoiding pain is like trying to swim without getting wet. It's impossible. Pain is part of the human experience. And the sooner we accept that, the sooner we can learn how to deal with it in a healthy way. When you avoid pain, you're really avoiding growth. Pain, as uncomfortable as it is one of life's greatest teachers. It shows you where you need to heal, where you need to change, where you need to grow. But if you keep pushing it down, if you keep pretending it doesn't exist, you're robbing yourself of the opportunity to learn the lessons it has to offer. Pain can show you your strengths because when you face it, you discover just how resilient you truly are. It can also reveal your weaknesses, areas where you need to grow, develop, or rely more on others. But you'll never uncover those insights if you're too busy avoiding the pain. Facing pain also means allowing yourself to feel it. We often think that if we just push it down, it'll go away. But emotions don't disappear, they just get buried. And buried emotions eventually resurface, often in ways that are more damaging. When you face your pain, you're giving yourself permission to feel it fully. You're allowing yourself to grieve, to be angry, to cry, to mourn. Those feelings are valid, and they need to be expressed. Bottling them up only prolongs the healing process. When you let yourself feel the pain, you're taking a crucial step toward moving through it. One of the hardest parts of facing pain is the fear that comes with it. We're afraid that if we truly acknowledge the depth of our hurt, we'll be overwhelmed by it. We fear that it will consume us, that we'll never recover. But here's the thing, pain is temporary. It may not feel like it in the moment. Offer to those around you who are also struggling. Facing pain doesn't mean you have to do it alone. Part of confronting pain is recognizing when you need help, whether that's from a friend, a family member, or a professional. There's no shame in seeking support. In fact, it's a sign of wisdom. Sometimes we need others to help us see things clearly, to give us strength when we're feeling weak, or just to listen as we work through our emotions. Reaching out for help is not a sign of defeat. It's part of the process of healing. Ultimately, facing pain is about reclaiming your power. When you avoid pain, it controls you. But when you face it, you take control back. You decide how to respond, how to heal, how to grow. You're no longer at the mercy of the hurt. You're actively working through it, moving forward, and becoming stronger in the process. Pain doesn't have to define you, but how you face it certainly will. By confronting your pain, you turn it into a source of strength, wisdom, and transformation. Victory is sweetest when it comes after a struggle. There's something about enduring hardship, about pushing through when everything seems stacked against you, that makes the taste of triumph even more satisfying. Victory that comes easily doesn't hold the same weight. It's the fight, the perseverance, the willingness to keep going even when the odds seem impossible that transforms the outcome into something truly meaningful. It's in the struggle that you find your strength, and it's in the victory after the struggle that you realize just how far you've come. Struggles are the testing ground for greatness. They're what separate those who simply wish for success from those who are willing to work for it. When you're in the middle of a struggle, it's hard to see the victory on the other side. All you can see is the challenge in front of you, the obstacles, the setbacks, the pain. But every step you take in the struggle is a step closer to the victory that's waiting. Every moment you push through the difficulty, you're building the resilience you'll need to achieve that breakthrough. Victory isn't just about the end result, it's about the journey it took to get there. It's about every sleepless night, every sacrifice, every moment of doubt when you had to dig deep and find the will to keep going. It's in the process of struggling that you discover your own capacity for endurance. You learn that you're capable of far more than you ever imagined. The struggle strengthens your resolve, and by the time you reach the victory, you've already won in so many ways. You've won the battle with yourself, the part of you that wanted to give up, that wanted to take the easy way out. The truth is, victory after a struggle isn't just about achieving a goal, it's about transformation. You're not the same person at the end of the struggle as you were at the beginning. The struggle changes you. It refines you. It strips away the fear, the doubt, and the insecurity that once held you back. It builds confidence and character. When you finally achieve victory, you realize that the real reward isn't just the achievement itself, but the person you become through the struggle. The battle may have been tough, but it was necessary to mold you into the person who can handle the victory with grace, wisdom, and humility. Struggles also teach you the value of patience. In our fast-paced world, we want everything instantly. We want success without effort, results without waiting. But true victory requires patience. It requires staying the course even when progress seems slow, even when it feels like nothing is happening. The struggle teaches you to trust the process, to understand that sometimes the greatest victories take time to manifest. And when they finally do, the wait makes the triumph that much more meaningful. Victory after the struggle also gives you a deeper sense of gratitude. When you've had to work hard for something, when you've had to fight through obstacles and setbacks, you appreciate the victory in a way that someone who hasn't struggled can't. You know what it cost you. You know the sacrifices you made, the perseverance it took. That deep sense of gratitude allows you to truly enjoy the fruits of your labor. It also gives you a sense of humility, knowing that the struggle didn't just make you stronger, it also made you more appreciative of the journey. Another powerful lesson that comes from victory after the struggle is perspective. When you've been through hard times, you learn to appreciate the good times more. You learn to see challenges not as something to avoid, but as opportunities for growth. The struggle shapes your perspective, helping you to see that setbacks are temporary, that pain is a part of life, and that perseverance leads to reward. Once you've tasted victory after enduring hardship, you're no longer afraid of challenges. You know that you have the strength to face them, and you understand that each struggle is simply another stepping stone toward your next victory. Struggle also prepares you for the next level. Often the victory you achieve isn't the end of the journey, it's just the beginning of something greater. The lessons you learn in the struggle equip you for the next challenge, the next goal, the next dream. Victory after the struggle isn't just a destination, it's a launching pad for even bigger things. Once you've overcome one obstacle, you have the confidence and the experience to face the next one with even greater courage. Each victory builds on the last, creating a foundation of strength, wisdom, and resilience. When you achieve victory after a struggle, you also become an inspiration to others. People see what you've been through, they see the effort you've put in, and they are encouraged by your perseverance. Your victory becomes a beacon of hope for those who are still in the midst of their own struggles. It shows them that victory is possible, that the fight is worth it, and that they too can achieve their goals if they stay the course. Your struggle and your victory have the power to inspire and uplift those around you, reminding them that they are not alone in their battles. Finally, victory after the struggle deepens your faith. When you've been through tough times, when you faced adversity and kept going, you realize that you didn't do it alone. You recognize that there was a strength greater than your own guiding you through the struggle. You see that even in the darkest moments, there was a purpose to the pain, and that purpose was to lead you to victory. Struggle has a way of deepening your reliance on God, and when the victory comes, you can look back and see His hand in every step of the journey. You understand that the struggle wasn't just about you, it was about learning to trust in something greater, knowing that victory was always part of the plan. When you find yourself in the midst of life's most intense trials, it can feel as though you're engulfed in a consuming fire, surrounded by heat and pressure, with no escape in sight. In these moments, it's easy to feel alone, to question where God is and why He seems distant. Yet, even in the heart of the fire, God is present. He is there holding you close, guiding you through the flames, and using the experience to refine and strengthen you. Fire in our lives often symbolizes intense trials and tribulations, times of suffering, hardship, and challenge that test our resolve and faith. These are the moments when everything seems to be falling apart, when we're pushed to our limits, and when we struggle to find any sense of normalcy or peace. Yet it is precisely in these times that God is most profoundly present. His presence may not always be obvious, but it is steadfast and constant. God doesn't abandon us in our trials. Instead, He walks with us through them, offering comfort and support even when we can't see or feel it. One of the most powerful biblical illustrations of God's presence in the fire comes from the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, thrown into the fiery furnace by King Nebuchadnezzar for refusing to worship a golden image These three men were faced with a situation that seemed beyond hope. Yet, even as the fire blazed around them, they were not alone. The king looked into the furnace and saw not just the three men, but a fourth figure, one who looked like a son of the gods. This divine presence in the fire was a clear testament to God's promise that he would be with us in our most desperate moments, protecting us and guiding us through. In the fire of our own lives, God's presence can be less obvious, but it is no less real. When you're in the middle of a trial, it might feel like you're walking through life alone. It can be hard to see how God is at work or how he could possibly bring good out of your suffering. But God is with you, even when you can't feel his presence. He is working behind the scenes, orchestrating circumstances and providing strength, courage, and support in ways that you might not immediately recognize. God's presence in the fire serves multiple purposes. It is often in the heat of our trials that we experience profound spiritual growth. The fire reveals our weaknesses and flaws, but it also purifies and refines us. Just as gold is purified by fire, our character and faith are strengthened through our struggles. The process is not easy, but it is transformative. God uses these intense moments to draw us closer to him, to teach us patience, endurance, and trust. He is crafting us into individuals who reflect his grace and resilience. Moreover, the fire is a space where we learn to rely on God more fully. When everything else is stripped away, when our own strength and resources are insufficient, we turn to him with greater dependence. The fire forces us to let go of our self-reliance and to lean into God's infinite strength. This deepened dependence builds a stronger relationship with God, one that is based on trust rather than self-sufficiency. It's through this reliance that we discover God's faithfulness in new and profound ways. In addition to refining us, God's presence in the fire also offers protection. Just as Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were not harmed by the flames, God protects us in ways we may not always understand. He shields us from the worst effects of our trials, preserving our spirits and our faith. Even when we feel overwhelmed, God is working to ensure that we do not suffer more than we can bear. He provides a way through the fire, guiding us safely to the other side. The fire can also become a powerful testimony to others. When you come through a trial with your faith intact, with your spirit strengthened, and with a sense of peace despite the adversity, you become a living testament to God's faithfulness. Others can see your strength and resilience and are inspired by your testimony. Your experience in the fire becomes a beacon of hope, showing others that God is present and working, even in their darkest times. Your journey through the fire can encourage others to trust in God's presence and provision in their own lives. God's presence in the fire also serves to remind us of his unwavering commitment to us. Even when we are in the midst of suffering, we are not forsaken. God's promises are true, and his love for us is constant. The fire is not a sign of abandonment, but an opportunity for God to demonstrate his enduring faithfulness. He is with us, not because we are deserving, but because of his unchanging nature. His presence is a reassurance that no matter how intense the trial, his love remains steadfast and his support unwavering. The fire also teaches us about the nature of God's deliverance. Sometimes deliverance comes in ways we don't expect. It might not always be an immediate removal from the trial, but it is always a presence that sustains us through it. God might not take us out of the fire, but he ensures that we come out stronger, wiser, and more aligned with his purpose for us. Deliverance is not just about escaping the fire, but about finding transformation through it. Ultimately, God's presence in the fire helps us to see that our trials are not without purpose. They are part of a larger plan, a process of growth, and a pathway to greater understanding and faith. Even when we can't see the immediate benefits of our struggles, we can trust that God is using them for our good. His presence in the fire reassures us that every trial has a purpose, and every moment of suffering is a step towards a greater revelation of his grace and love. In the end, the fire is a profound teacher. It reveals our deepest fears and our greatest strengths. It strips away the superficial and brings to light the essence of who we are and who God is. In the midst of the flames, we discover the depth of God's presence and the breadth of his faithfulness. The fire might be intense, but it is also a space where we encounter God in powerful, life-changing ways. Trusting in God's timing can be one of the most challenging aspects of faith. We live in a world that values instant gratification, where immediate results are often expected and desired. Yet God's timing is not always aligned with our own. His sense of timing can seem slow, perplexing, or even frustrating, but trusting in his timing is crucial because it reflects our confidence in his wisdom, his plan, and his understanding of what's best for us. God's timing is perfect, even when it doesn't match our own sense of urgency. There are times when we pray for something and it feels as if our requests go unanswered or delayed. We might wonder why God isn't moving faster or why he isn't giving us what we ask for right now. But God's timing is based on a perspective that we don't fully see. He knows the right moment for everything to unfold, even if we don't understand it. His timing is always designed for our good, even if it requires waiting and patience on our part. Waiting for God's timing often requires us to surrender our own plans and desires. We might have a clear idea of what we want and when we want it, but God's timing may call us to let go of our expectations. This surrender is an act of faith, a recognition that God's plan is greater than our own. It means trusting that he has a better perspective, that he sees the bigger picture and is working things out in ways that we cannot always comprehend. Trusting in God's timing also involves understanding that delays are not necessarily denials. Just because something isn't happening when we want it to doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. It might simply mean that God is preparing us, aligning circumstances, or working on aspects of our lives that need to be in place for his plan to unfold. Delays can be opportunities for growth, for developing patience, and for deepening our trust in him. They can be moments to reflect, to prepare, and to align ourselves more closely with God's will. There's often a profound growth that happens during the waiting period. When we're in a season of waiting, we are invited to develop qualities like patience, perseverance, and faith. These attributes are not just built-in moments of action, but are cultivated in times of waiting and uncertainty. God uses these periods to strengthen our character, to refine our desires, and to deepen our dependence on him. The process of waiting can teach us to rely more fully on God's timing rather than our own. God's timing also involves preparing us for what's to come. Sometimes we may not be ready for the blessings or opportunities that we seek. God might delay granting our requests because he knows we need more time to grow, to mature, or to develop the skills and character required to handle what he has planned for us. His timing ensures that we are equipped to handle the responsibility and the blessings when they arrive. It's a way of preparing us to fully embrace the gifts and opportunities he has in store. Another important aspect of trusting in God's timing is understanding that it often involves trust beyond our immediate understanding. We may not always see why things are happening in the timing they are or what God's purpose might be in the delay. Trusting God's timing means believing that he is at work even when we cannot see the results. It's a faith that goes beyond immediate circumstances and rests in the confidence that God's plan is unfolding perfectly according to his will. Trusting in God's timing can also bring peace amidst uncertainty. When we let go of our need to control the timing of events and place our trust in God's perfect timing, we experience a deep sense of peace. We can release our anxieties and fears about the future because we trust that God is handling things in his own time. This peace comes from knowing that we are not alone in our struggles and that God's timing is always aimed at our ultimate good. God's timing also teaches us about the importance of his timing in relation to his purposes. Sometimes what we want might not align with what God wants for us. His timing ensures that everything works according to his greater plan and purpose. It means that our desires, plans, and aspirations are being woven into a larger narrative that we may not fully see. Trusting in God's timing involves recognizing that his purposes are greater than our immediate needs or desires. Furthermore, trusting in God's timing involves acknowledging his sovereignty. It's a recognition that he is in control of all aspects of life and that his timing is part of his divine plan. This trust reflects a deep belief in his power and wisdom, and it acknowledges that he knows what is best for us at every moment. It's about aligning our hearts with the truth that God's sovereignty is always for our good and his glory. Lastly, trusting in God's timing is an expression of our faith journey. It's about walking with him, even when the path is unclear, and continuing to trust him despite the uncertainties. It's a journey of learning to rely on his wisdom, to believe in his promises, and to rest in his perfect timing. Each step of the journey, each moment of waiting, becomes a testament to our trust in God and his timing, reinforcing our faith and drawing us closer to him. In conclusion, trusting in God's timing is a profound journey of faith. It requires surrendering our own plans and desires, understanding that his timing is perfect, even when it doesn't align with our own. It's about embracing the growth that comes from waiting, recognizing that delays are not denials, but opportunities for preparation and transformation. As we navigate through life's uncertainties, let us remember that God's timing is always in sync with his greater plan for us. Every moment of waiting, every trial of patience is a testament to his unwavering faithfulness and love. By placing our trust in his timing, we find peace, growth, and a deeper connection to his purpose for our lives. So as you face the trials and uncertainties of life, hold fast to the belief that God is at work in every moment. Trust in his perfect timing, knowing that he is orchestrating every detail for your ultimate good. Your journey of faith, marked by trust in his timing, will lead you to a place of profound fulfillment and purpose. Embrace the wait, for it is in these moments that you are drawn closer to the heart of God and prepared for the incredible blessings he has